My name is, as he said, Halla Jónsdóttir, and I'm from Innovation Center of Iceland. Two other founders of this adventure are here today. Einar Hreinsson from Hafró Marine Research Institute. Can you give us a wink? And Geir Guðmundsson from Innovation Center of Iceland. Ooh. Now, the third one mentioned there is Torfi Þórhallsson. He is a colleague of ours. He's not one of the founders of the idea, but he comes from the submarine industry and has been very important for us. Now, light trawl, or fishing with photons, is what I'm going to tell you about. So, how does an adventure like this start? As all good adventures start, it starts with the words, once upon a time. Can we change this? I don't want it to... Jónas, per sjálfkrafa, sagðirðu rehearse timings, þú setti það stað? Nei. Because there shouldn't be any time on this. There wasn't yesterday. Okay. Well, we performed in, at Innovation Center of Iceland, we performed a study, life cycle analysis of fish. Life cycle analysis is a study that measures the environmental effects based on all flows of material, energy, and waste. And in this study, we thought that the oil consumption was quite unacceptable. Actually, part of the study was performed by former employees of Matís as well. Here we see a picture telling us about this study. The name of it is Environmental Effects of Fish on the Consumer's Dish. And we checked everything, sailing to the fishing grounds, fishing and processing, transport, storage, more transport, etc., and cooking the fish. All energy and material flows and all waste flows on this path. Results were very evident. It was the fishing trawler that was important. The fishing gear itself, the transport, the packaging, storage, and cooking was, well, you see the columns. It's not difficult. The PT is personal units. It's based on how much environmental effects are by one European in a year. And to make a long story short, you can read on the top, fossil fuels are important. Then it's acidification, which comes from burning fossil fuels. Climate change, also resulting from fossil fuel. And respiratory inorganics, the effects it has on health of people, also coming from the oil. So it was evident that if we wanted to do something about it, to improve something, we should focus on the use of oil. Now, here we have some interesting values. To catch 1 kilo of ungutted mixed catch, we needed 0.65 liters of oil. And for this, we got 400 grams of fish fillets, portion for 2 persons. The emission of CO2 was 1,800 grams, easily calculated from the oil. And the area swept of sea bottom was 1,000 square meters. And this method we are talking about, life cycle analysis, cannot measure effects on sea bottom because we have no idea where the trawl has any effects on the sea bottom, a lot of effects on the sea bottom, and how we should measure it against climate change. Well, we decided to look at the oil usage because it was the important thing. And to make this picture short, it's the use of oil for the fishing net, actually. Steaming to and from the fishing grounds was 16%, but the shooting gear, towing the gear, hauling the gear, preparation of the gear was 75%. Okay. Then we started thinking. Actually, I come from the fish farming. I'm a fish pathologist. And I was kind of annoyed because I felt that the technique we were using at that time in fish farming was quite different from the technique we were actually studying in the trawls. I mean, the present fishing gear is actually based on towing a rope through water, which means drag and energy consumption. The trawls are, after all, more than a century-old technology and are being criticized for damaging seabed, whether or not we can measure it. Now, our vision is to reduce environmental effects, to reduce energy per unit catch, to produce a bottom trawl that will not damage the bottom. So our questions were, can we do it? Is it possible? Can we catch fish without touching sea bottom? Can we catch fish without using so many ropes? Can we release unwanted fish? Can we maybe release brood fish? I mean, the fish we want to be parents for the next generation. The way forward is definitely to replace the present drag causing gear with a structure that does not produce drag. And being a fish pathologist, I was thinking about the sensory organs of the fish. The vision and lateral line were my favorites. But we also looked at others. We put in an application, me, Geir and Einar, and we got a no. But I will give you money to make a short study on, and then it was, okay, do the vision, do the eyes. And that's why the rest of the presentation is light in seawater. Well, we found light beams that produce visible virtual structure in seawater, kind of ropes. The fish perceives the light beam as a solid rope, especially if you use it in seawater. It's not that evident in freshwater, though. Well, in fisheries, it has been well known that we can attract fish with light. But here, our question is, can we hurt the fish with light? Can we hurt fish with drag-free light beams? Yes, is the answer. Here we have fish, Arctic char in a tank, and you can see that the fish avoid the light. We also did this with cod and in some other tanks and cages, but the thing is that we had to try this in real situation, on actual fishing grounds. And in order to do so, we did a prototype 1. It was a very simple prototype with not too many options, but we could turn on the lights and we could turn off the lights. And we could control where we hit the bottom or not by increasing the speed of the boat. But here you can see results. You can see the lights, both light beams and what you call light walls, which are really just light beams with lenses. And then you can see some fish being herded. The results were, we have to keep on. That were the results. And now we are actually producing prototype 2. It will be water tested this year. Well, our goal is a valuable, innovative product that uses only half of the energy and meets the demands of sustainable fisheries. technical progress of prototype 2 is that now we expect to be able to position the trawl at an exact position in the water column that is anywhere between 40 centimeters above sea bottom and 5 or 10 meters beneath the surface. And we expect to be able to herd the fish with the lights. For this, we have already designed and built a special trawl winch, a special trawling cable which has inside it high-speed Ethernet connection to our computers that are, by the way, down in the trawl, because we actually control everything from the trawl, and a power supply. Our lights have beams that can move both in X-axis and Y-axis, and we can make all kinds of patterns, so there's no more on and off there. Members of the crew are Innovation Center of Iceland, that's me, Halla Jónsdóttir, Geir, Torfi, Jón Matt, Ingólfur, Þorsteinn Ingi, og Niels. From Icelandic Marine Research Institute is Einar Hreinsson and Hjalti Karlsson, and several others. Do you want to add someone? Okay. Then we have from Gunnvör, Hraðfrystihúsið Gunnvör, which is a trawling company actually. We have Einar Valur Kristjánsson from Fjarðanet, which is a company that sells trawls. We have Jón Einar Martinsson. Then we have Warrior Subcontractors. And we have been supported by many grants and funds and several companies that show us a lot of goodwill. So, if you want some questions, but we also have here a small video. Okay. No, there is no sound. Ah, there was something. Okay. So here you can see the beautiful landscape, the beautiful sea, the captain Haraldur during the fishing trip, Geir, the engineer, me, and others, and in a moment you can see a little bit of the fishing gear actually, and there we have a good picture that shows normal trawl and our trawl on the right. Here it's going down. But the bottom line is that now we have power down there, we have Ethernet connection, we have computers. Whether or not the lights work, which we think they will do, we definitely do have very interesting possibilities. There you can see one fish with behavior that avoids the light, goes up above the light and into the trawl, and it's repeated. So, questions?
How far away can you herd the fish? Is it 5 meters from the laser or 10 meters?
From the light? We are not quite sure about that. We have to check that during the fishing trips.
Second question, different color, can you herd different species?
The results we are having indicate that colors have different effects on different species. based on experiments in tanks.
Color have different.
Different colors have different effects on different species. Some species react to one light that other species do not react to. So there's definitely species difference there, yes.
Have you tested this on different throwing speed? Have you made the test on the same throwing speed or different throwing speed?
We did try different throwing speeds, but this is very preliminary. This was very, how did I say it? It was not a very sophisticated prototype.
Not coming from an area where you have a lot of pristine waters, crystal clear waters, I'm a bit worried about the what will happen when the water is turbid due to algae blooms and other things making the visibility
less. Yeah, that will definitely have effect, but still we have to go this path. We have to track this out. And yes, but you are right, completely right.
If I may add, if you have already turbid water, the beam costs less, but it is more, the light will be stronger where it is recorded. Because
but it will also be scattered much more.
Yes. It's not as contrast.
You won't have a straight line of lightness.
And actually, we don't have to have all the lights in one place. I mean, one can easily extend the hurting space. Yeah.
You have the lights in the opening of the phone beaming out.
Yes, yes. But as I said, you can also add to that other devices that we have thought of, but not developed yet.
Have you seen what kind of catch you got?
Was
it big or was it normal or was it less?
It wasn't very big, but this is a prototype. It was a very unsophisticated prototype. We only had the possibility to turn on the light and off. We had no other possibilities. But now we have better gear. I will be able to answer more questions after that, or my colleagues.
Question here. I think this is very exciting thing to look at. Okay. But I was wondering, when we are talking about the impact, I have read a paper about when you take, for instance, nephrope up to the surface in the sun, you leave it back in the sea, it will be blind after that, after the light. Have you looked at the possible impact of the light source in this environment, if it will affect some animals?
Being a fish pathologist, I have to say yes, definitely. We have seen that the fish tanks where we did experiments did not show any difference in this aspect. So it did not affect the fish during experiments in fish tanks. But that's a totally different thing from using it out in the sea. And also out in the sea, you have much more species and much more possibilities of something going wrong. And actually, I think we cannot answer this question fully until later.
One thing that struck me was if the fish species react differently on different wavelength of the light. Then you can use this as a selective method.
There is such a possibility, yes, but also the different wavelengths go different way, because some wavelengths pass more meters in the water than other wavelengths. So there's another thing to think about. But yes, we have thought about this. but we are not far on it. A lot of research to be done if this works well.
You mentioned something about patterns. Is that something that you looked into in detail and something that you?
Something that interests us to try, definitely, but nothing that we have really tried out in any big deal in tanks or something. It will just be able to make many different patterns. Actually, I think the only limitation is our imagination, more or less, and then see what seems to work and go from there.
Can you work with the laser at water?
We use condensed light that goes straight way. We call it stefnumiðaljós. We don't need, it doesn't have to be laser. It can be performed in other ways.